Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the realities of what living on $1,000 looks like living out here in Mexico. Because there's a lot of misconceptions out there as to what it really looks like, what it really, feels like to live on around $1,000 a month. Which again, depending on what country you're coming from, will depend on your currency exchange and so on and so forth. So what does $1,000 buy you out here in Mexico? Well, first of all, at the current exchange rate, it is $1 equals 20 pesos, give or take. So you're getting, give or take, around 20,000 pesos a month. Now, of course, this could fluctuate depending on the exchange rate. So that's something people also have to take into account, meaning that the lower it goes, the less, pesos you're going to get at the end of the month. So if the exchange rate is 1 to 15, that means that you're only getting 15,000 pesos at the end of the month. Or, if you are, the exchange rate is 1 to 20 like it is right now, then you're getting 20,000 pesos. If it goes higher, you get 25,000 pesos. And obviously, with the more pesos you have, the more things you can buy. Now, of course, prices also fluctuate here in Mexico. There are things such as inflation and other factors which, make the prices of daily items, go up and down. Also rent, depending on where you choose to live, will depend on what you're going to be paying in rent. Again, if you want to live, a fancy lifestyle, well, you're probably going to be paying, 20,000 pesos in rent. Therefore, well, that's your whole budget for the month. So if you have that kind of a budget, then you have to live like a typical lower middle class or just working class Mexican could afford, which is a home somewhere in between, the $300 to $500 range, which again translates to somewhere between 5 to 6,000 pesos to 10,000 pesos, just for a normal modest home. Again, depending on what neighborhood, how many bedrooms, and so many other factors will depend on the price. But you can definitely get something for under 10,000 pesos, for sure. And again, I have shown you on my own channel and I got on my website, more information on where and how you can find these homes, for the price of 10,000 pesos or less. And again, as of today, there are many other YouTubers out there that show you, how to, find affordable housing out here and so on and so forth. But it's not about that. The thing is, there's so many other factors that go into living in Mexico, and especially if you're going to be living on a budget of around $1,000 a month. For some of you guys that are looking for a more precise cost of living episode video, I got those on my channel, and I'm going to be doing a new one soon. But again, if you want the real nitty gritty as to what everything costs, up and down, I'm going to put that video at the end of this one so you can watch it as soon as we're done here. But again, it's more than just that budget. Okay, that's obviously a major part of it, but a lot of it has more to do with the mindset than anything else. All right. Again, it can definitely be done. A good majority of Mexicans do it. In fact, some of them even support a whole family for even less than $1,000 a month. But I understand that, many people in the audience, including myself, there are certain things and certain luxuries, that we need on a daily basis. And therefore, as affordable as we want to live, the reality is that, the most affordable most of us can really go is around 1,000 a month, 1,500 to be realistic, for most of us out there in the audience. And for many people, that budget is a lot higher, meaning that they cannot live unless their budget in Mexico is $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, my apologies. And so therefore, because of that, a lot of people out there are finding Mexico less and less affordable these days. But what about your friend Jose? The person, that's making this video right now, that's been living in Mexico for 6.5 years. Yeah, I know, I was speaking about myself in the third person. Bruh. But the reality is that, remember, I've been living here for over 6.5 years, and my budget, is around $1,500 a month. On YouTube alone, if I'm lucky if I make around $1,000 a month plus, all the other things that I do, which is, my personal consulting. By the way, please go check my website out if, you want to help support the show, or if you want to, have a one-on-one video consultation with me where I can help you answer anything that, is on your mind. You could do that, or you can simply just check out the other videos on my channel, and you can find all the answers to basically every question that you've ever thought you've had about Mexico, and even questions you never thought that you had about living in Mexico. Again, check out my YouTube page, check out all the videos, and check out my website for more information. But as I was saying before I rudely interrupted myself, I've been living in Mexico here for over 6.5 years. And when I first got here, again, for most of you guys that don't know in the audience, I came out here with $1,500 US left to my name after I got my Airbnb for a month and I paid for my plane ticket. That's all I had left in my pocket, and I was able to make it. Again, not just make it, but succeed. And now I'm doing pretty well, again, compared to how I got here and how little I had. But for a lot of people that have heard about my story, they think that they can also just replicate it. And guess what? Spoiler alert, some of you can. Not everybody. In fact, a lot of you guys cannot. In fact, a lot of you guys see my story, or you hear of similar stories like mine, and you think, well, I got nothing left out here in the US, I got nothing left in Canada, whatever, let me just go. I got a few more resources than these people or these stories, so I know I can make it. I can definitely make it. And well, boom, that's where the problems start. Because the reality is that for a lot of you guys out there that think this way and have never really been through much hardship, or are not willing to sacrifice, or not willing to embrace a new lifestyle, a new life, change your habits, you don't have that different kind of mindset that you need to go on an adventure, because that's what this is, and so many other things that we're going to continue discussing in this video. The reality is that most people, they just want to move out here as if they're moving to another part of town or another part of the country, and just expecting minor changes. And the reality is that no, you're moving to a completely different country, completely different culture, completely different language, and I can go on, which I usually do in my videos. And anyways, the reality is that it's not what you think, and so for a lot of people, they're not ready to deal with all these challenges. Again, in order for you to really live on around $1,000 a month comfortably, all right, well, you need to have a bunch of tools under your belt. And for example, number one, you probably need to know Spanish. It would be very beneficial to you if you knew Spanish. If you know Spanish, well, obviously you can negotiate more, you can shop in certain markets, in certain areas that only the locals shop, because they only speak in Spanish and they don't have any tourists or gringos or foreigners coming through there. Again, you see me in my videos where I go to the market, whether I'm in Guadalajara, Oaxaca, Merida, Yucatan, which is, by the way, where I am biking around right now. So I am biking around the Merida area, around Centro, just for anyone out there that's curious as to where I am. But as I was saying, I show you guys in my videos where, you can go shop and get like all the fanciest stuff. Not too long ago, we had Thanksgiving. And, there are certain items that they just don't sell at the local store here. So we had to go to the, specialty store, all right, where things cost a lot of money. And it's okay. For one holiday, for one day, we spent, the extra money in order to get our cranberry sauce, in order to get, our French fried onions for the green bean casserole. And I could go on and on, just to get a few items for one day. And the rest of the stuff we were able to, source locally. But a lot of people out there, they don't want to just have those items or that lifestyle once a year. They want to have that all the time, every single part of the year. They don't want to live without their American comforts or the comforts from their country. And that's when they, all of a sudden start to realize that those things cost money and they're more expensive. Again, part of the reason why I'm able, and a lot of people in the audience that have a budget of around $1,000 a month are able to maintain that budget is because they eat locally. They might eat from the taco stand instead of going to the fancy restaurant. They cook at home. When they go shopping, they don't go to the fancy schmancy grocery store. They go to El Mercado and they shop where everybody else shops, in the neighborhood or in the city, depending on the mercado and where you're going. But that's the thing, they cook at home. They use and outsource local ingredients that are organic, and they're plentiful and more affordable, and they're everywhere, as opposed to going to the fancy grocery store where they have those same items, only packaged nicer and in a much nicer environment for you to shop in. And so you're paying for that convenience. Same thing as Starbucks. That's why I always mention Starbucks, and sometimes people misunderstand what I'm trying to say, but it's more than just that coffee that you're getting at Starbucks. Obviously, the coffee there is terrible. It's the packaging, it's the environment you're buying it in, and so on and so forth. Look, a lot of times, when I went back in the day when I used to have business meetings or certain meetings, I would have it at the Starbucks, because of the environment. Or a place like that. Now, obviously, when I lived in Seattle or now here in Merida where I live, in certain areas now, in fact, now it's commonplace to have a fancy coffee shop, or a nice coffee shop, like Starbucks or way better. And so most people just have their business meetings there. But long story short, what I'm saying is that going to the grocery store or things like that, all right, depending on where you're going, the same thing as your coffee will depend on what price you're going to be paying. Again, you can make your own coffee. It's going to be a lot more affordable, right, than if you go to Starbucks. Also, depending on the beans that you get for your coffee is also going to depend on the price. And so there's all these little variables, and that's just coffee. Imagine all the other items that you consume, everything from toilet paper, okay, to the foods that you eat, because, there's certain things that are more, okay, for example, in the USA or Canada, a Mexican Coke is extremely expensive. A Mexican Coke here is 50 cents. Okay, in a glass bottle. All right, but the same thing goes backwards. Where here in Mexico, you want to buy a specialty item from the USA, special meats and cheeses. Maybe some Oscar Mayer wieners. They're going to be more expensive here, or some bologna, more expensive here, because that's an import. And again, that can go on and on. So for a lot of people, it's no big deal when they move to Mexico to put aside the Oscar Mayer wieners and, have some Mexican wieners instead. Bruh. Which is something I did. In fact, I had to do. I didn't really have much of a choice when I first moved here on a very tight budget. I couldn't find anything that I was used to because I was shopping extremely local. So I made do with what I had, and everything was new to me. Every single item, every single brand, everything. But guess what? Now it's not new to me at all. And now when presented with an American brand or the Mexican brand, I choose the Mexican brand all the time. Where before, it's like sometimes I had to get, there was like an acquired taste, so there was a different taste, not a bad one, just something different that I wasn't used to, all right? And I had to get used to that. And again, maybe it's, the special chemicals, in the food, that they have in one country over the other, the flavorings, I don't know. The point is that it's little things like that where it's all these little sacrifices. Because again, the reality is that for a lot of people moving to Mexico, for a lot of you guys in your mind, it's not a sacrifice. In fact, it's like, oh my God, I finally get to be free. I finally get to escape. I finally get to be, living in paradise and all this stuff. But there are things that come with living in paradise, and not all of them are good. A lot of people might envision themselves being stuck on a deserted island until they realize they got to eat coconuts every day, all right, and make friends with a ball named Wilson. Something similar out here, for some people. And the reality is that, for some people, they are embracing this new life. They realize, they understand the whole point of leaving the USA. The whole idea of leaving the USA is to stop living that life. Again, most of you guys out there are miserable, okay, living your life, okay, which, again, constitutes, everyone's a little different here, but most of you guys out there, in no particular order, do something like this every single day, which is wake up, get ready for work, commute, work, commute back, all right, come home barely, all right, tired. On your way home, you might have to go do some groceries. You might have to, run some errands. You get home exhausted. You might have to pick up the kids, whatever it is you're doing, okay? No matter what the age, okay? You have different responsibilities. You get home, you're tired, you're exhausted, and then you got to do it all over again. And again and again. And then the one day off you have, the few days off you have, it's to do all kinds of things you don't want to do, like laundry or clean the house or, go do something you don't want to do for XY reason, whatever it is. The point is that a lot of you guys out there, you don't want to live that life anymore. You don't want to be that, NPC, as the kids say, that machine, that corporate cog in the machine where you're just there to work, like a machine, and that's it. You're a number. So a lot of you guys are done with that life and you're looking for a way out. And you don't see, how you're going to get out of that. And so the thing is, for a lot of you guys out there in the audience, you see videos like mine, you see other people living out here, and you see us, kind of living that amazing dream lifestyle where I wake up every day and I walk my dog and I go to the local market and I buy whatever it is I need to buy to eat that day, and then I come home and I make a video, and then I cook some dinner and I have an amazing night, and yada yada yada. And it's like this dream life, where I get to make my hours and do everything I want to do. And you guys want to do something the same, maybe not make YouTube videos, but you guys want to do other things and live that life where you're not stuck in that corporate rat race, where again you're commuting to work and working and everything is just blah. You're looking for change. And guess what? For a lot of you guys, when you come to Mexico, you embrace it. Are you kidding me? You get some crappy online job doing whatever, and then you live your life. You're living your best life. Like me, you're going on your bicycle, you're going to the market, you're talking to the locals, whether you understand each other or not. You're having a good old time. You go home, you do a little work, you walk your dog, you pet your cat, you go make some dinner, you go hang out with friends, whatever. You go to the park at night, you go watch, you listen to some jazz, whatever. You're living that life. A lot of you guys embrace it, and you do like me. You love it out here, and you don't see yourself anywhere else. But a lot of people in the audience, unfortunately, they just do not embrace that. They don't understand that. They come to Mexico and then they're frustrated because they have no idea how to replicate that life all over again. All right. And I know that a lot, this video is talking about $1,000, living in $1,000, but this is what it's all about. Because think about it, you're leaving everything behind in the USA, all right? And then you're coming out here to Mexico, all right? And you want to live that life that I just explained, that very carefree life, and you're going to have just some crappy job online. Well, I mean, how much you think you're going to be making when you're making around $10 an hour, all right? Again, it's plenty to live out here. You'll be making pretty good, especially, if you're single or whatever. But the reality is that for a lot of people, that's not what they're looking for. For a lot of people, they want to replicate the same exact lifestyle or the same exact thing as they had in the USA, which, by the way, you can do out here. But in order for you to really be able to do that, well, you got to know Spanish. Like, you really just got to know Spanish, all right? In the sense of, like, again, you're young. You want to go work for some sort of corporate gig or some sort of job or some sort of business or whatever. You got to really be able to integrate fully in order for you to be making big bucks and living that big bucks lifestyle out here. And if you're young, now if you're older, again, if you have you got a pretty good retirement and pension and stuff like that, I mean, you're good. And most of you guys will buy a house and you're going to be living in $1,000 regardless. Or $1,500 regardless, because you're not really spending a lot of money anyway, and you're not paying rent, and you're good to go. And that's just the reality of it. But there's all these people in between, all right, that might be, a little older, maybe not retired yet, or maybe retired already, and you're on a very, very tight budget of around $1,000 to $1,500, and you don't know what to do. For a lot of younger folk, again, you want out of the corporate lifestyle, and you want to, again, you're in your early or mid 20s or 30s, and everything just kind of sucks, or you have a crappy career, or whatever your situation is, and you want out. Again, you can get out and you can live out here happily and wonderfully, but you got to put in that work. You still got to work. You still got to put in effort. Again, I'm not making a lot of money per se, but I put in a lot of work. But that work gives me the freedom, gives me, everything that I, want and that I've always desired, a happy life, a less stressful life. Again, we all have stress. It never leaves. It never ends. But the reality is that, the stress I have here is nothing in comparison to the stress I had in the USA. And, now that I'm here, I've been here for a long time, and I see people that have just gotten off the boat, people that, just moved to Mexico, got to Mexico not too long ago, and I can still see it in their, their body, in their energy, in their soul, in their everything, how it just takes a very, very long time to decompress, to get over all that stress, all the insanity from where they come from. And not everybody can do it. Some people can fully just extinguish that, push that out of their system and live very happily out here. And just the whole idea of going back to the USA, that's the only stress that they really have. But a lot of people, again, for whatever reason, they cannot live without that lifestyle, that stress, everything that comes with it. And so therefore they live out here and they just cannot handle it. They cannot handle how slow things are, how people are on their own time, how it's not like the USA with the professionalism and so on and so forth. And I could go on, so many reasons, and again, with that said, there are many ways in which you can live out here on $1,000. Okay. In fact, there are ways that you have to live in order for you to be able to really live out here on $1,000 a month. And I'm sure you've heard this in other videos, whether it's my videos or other people's videos. But again, it goes without saying. But I've already mentioned some of these. You have to do things like cook at home, shop locally. You have to do a lot of walking, a lot of biking, and start getting used to doing more exercise. For a lot of Americans, they're just not used to any of that. They're just not used to any kind of exercise. And if they do have exercise, it's like them going to the gym. That's it. For many people out here in Mexico, that's not the case, because since everything is very walkable in many areas, most people just walk where they got to go. So, for example, I could take my bicycle to go to the store, but me going on my bicycle, first of all, taking it out of the house, getting over there, putting it on a chain, that takes longer than if I were to just walk over there. And it's only a few blocks, like 3 blocks. It's not that much, but for a lot of people, 3 blocks is, you might as well say 3 miles. But if you are very comfortable and very used to walking and want to, engage in more physical activity, then living in Mexico is great, because everything is walkable. Everything is around the corner. You do not have to get in the car most of the time in most neighborhoods, in most areas. And that's great. That's wonderful, because for me, I have a truck, I have a car, but I'm basically selling it. I'm getting rid of it because I don't use it. It's just for me to do certain errands, and that's about it. Because for me, having a car, I thought it would be a good idea, but it turned out that it was just more work and effort than anything else, just like in the USA. But like living in the USA, or if you're living a certain lifestyle, even out here, you need a car. You need a transportation. You need to have that. But again, you're single, or you're just a couple, again, living on basically $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Well, you might not need a car. You might not want a car. It might be best to just get yourself some bicycles or some electric bicycles. They have some really good, amazing electric bicycles these days, and it's almost like having a motorcycle. And you don't have to, register it. You don't have to get insurance or any of that. In fact, spoiler alert, Christian just bought one, all right? So she got her, because they're very affordable. They're cheap. She got one for, I think, $600. I mean, come on. So she saved up, working at the school, and she was able to buy herself an electric bicycle. And with this electric bicycle, well, now she's going to be able to get around. Now she doesn't have to pay for Ubers, it's because a bike, going on your bicycle at the end of the day does require physical exertion, and it's not always the best idea when you have to go long distances and you are in 106-degree heat, or in other areas of Mexico where there's inclines and so on and so forth. So bicycles are great in certain situations, same as walking is great in certain situations. But perhaps getting an electric bicycle is good for, solution for someone out there in the audience, electric scooter, whatever. Riding the bus. In previous episodes, we've been doing that. So I've been getting on the bike more. I've been walking more. We're getting on the bus more, showing you guys around and going as far as we can through the buses and so on and so forth. And that's the thing. There are many, many ways in which you can live comfortably. Okay, again, the question of comfort depends on you. Of course, I would love to live in a very fancy home, and I would love to live, a very luxurious lifestyle and still do the things that I do. But again, for me at the moment, in order for me to get those things, I would have to do other things to make money in order to afford those things. But for people in the audience in which that's not that important, where living life, having experiences, being able to really, enjoy the things that you do on a daily basis. Again, like the old saying goes, everybody dies, but not everybody lives. And so, again, just going back to moving to Mexico, and especially on a budget, it's an adventure. It really is an adventure. Now, the more money you have, the more resources you have, well, it's still an adventure, but you can basically pay your way through it. So it's not that big of a deal. You can go anywhere. You can go to any country, no matter what the language. And if you got money, you're good to go. You can do whatever. And you can get yourself facilitators. You can get help. You can get all kinds of people. Again, if I had money, I could just pop into Thailand, pay a few people here or there, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. I got everything I want. I don't have to worry about a language barrier or any of these things. But if I'm on a tight budget, I can't pay no facilitator or anything like that, which brings me to basically my last point here is that, again, for a lot of people that are coming out here on a budget, thinking about living out here on a budget, the reality is that you're going to have to limit your use of facilitators as much as possible. I'm not saying don't use them. In some cases, you need them, especially if you do not know the language for certain things, especially, let's say, immigration. I totally understand. But the reality is that the more that you can do for yourself, the more you're going to be able to save, period. End the story. And again, it goes without saying. Same thing as working on your car, like me, working on my own car. I work on my own house. If I need to fix something, I fix it myself, or I attempt to fix it myself. If I fail, then I call somebody to help me fix it. And for the most part, I got like an 80% success rate, and I've been able to save a lot of money with just doing that alone and being able to do it on my own and not need a helper, facilitator, professional, what have you. And so the same thing with all the things that I've done out here when it comes to, for example, immigration. You guys know Jose Novello. He is, a good friends of the show, and he comes on, the show all the time, and he helps you guys, with real estate, with immigration, with all these things, okay? And, he's my friend. He's my buddy. I've known him for a very long time. And he didn't need to help me with any immigration issue or nothing like that. He could have easily done that, but I did it myself. Why? Because I speak the language and I put in the effort and the work in order to just go do it. And I don't want to bother him with that. So I just did it. You see? But it's the same thing. If you know the language and you know certain things, well, you don't got to worry and you don't got to pay facilitators. But the more you got to pay a facilitator, well, the more that handicaps you, that hinders you in the long run, especially if you're a fish out of water out here. Because I keep hearing stories, of people that, come out here, they hire facilitators, and then all of a sudden they want to live on a budget like me, but they are put in a part of the city that is far away from all these services and conveniences that you would really need in order to live on a budget. So for example, I live on a budget, but I live on the outskirts of Centro. I don't live in Centro. Again, Centro is, not for everybody. There's a lot of traffic, a lot going on, and so on and so forth. But again, if you want to live on a budget, the best thing to do is to live as close to Centro as possible. Now, do people want to do that? No, of course not. Again, it's when I mean close to Centro, I mean close to the Central Market and close to all the things in which the locals purchase in order to be able to live on a budget, okay, on a very tight budget. So you need to emulate that lifestyle, as I've said many times. So that's what they do. A lot of the poor Mexicans or, lower middle class Mexicans, they have no choice. They got to shop in El Centro. They got to shop in the market there, and they got to make their way to the market. So for me, it's easy to get to El Centro. It's just a short little bike ride over there, or I can take the bus, or even an Uber if I have to, okay? Because sometimes, Christian will, go to El Centro, do her thing, and she has like a bunch of shopping bags, and then she'll Uber back, and it's only, like 30, 40 pesos tops, because we're that close to El Centro, okay? But if I were to live in the north, it doesn't really matter per se what, the north of the city of Merida. Every single city in Mexico is different. I'm just talking about this particular city. In the north of this city, it is where all the, the money and all the fancy stuff, all the things that, basically look like the USA are up north. All right. You can see other videos of mine for those views, or as you can see how it looks. All right. It looks amazing. But it also comes with a price. So, you might, if you get lucky and you find some affordable housing in that area, well, guess what? You're going to have to, you're not going to have access to all the other things, like, again, the Central Market, and you're going to have to shop in the market in which the people in that neighborhood shop, and many times it's going to cost you more money. So other things like that are going to, depending on the neighborhood, depending on, how much you're going to pay. Look, it's the same thing in the USA. If you're living in Beverly Hills, and you go to the grocery store there, it's going to cost you a lot more than if you're in the grocery store in East LA or Compton or Van Nuys. All right. It's as simple as that, all right. And the same can be said for any city, any area, and all that good stuff. So it's not just about the rent, it's about the neighborhood, it's about all these things. So the horror stories I keep hearing is that, they'll come out here, they, sight unseen, they don't know anything about the city, they don't know nothing. They get in contact with some of these facilitators, and before they know it, they're living in like Concao, and they don't have a car, they don't have anything, and long story short, they end up leaving and going back to the USA in a few months. And what is Concao? Well, Concao is just an area basically on the outskirts of town, and far away. And sure, you can live there, but you need a car. You got to commute to the city to just do basic things, or at least commute, to certain areas. And unless you are very, very adventurous, most people that live in those areas, even though there's a lot of foreigners, meaning other Mexicans from other parts of Mexico living in those areas, and they have, a bunch of, street food and markets and all this other stuff. Well, you got to be real adventurous to really go out there and do your shopping and do your thing. For a lot of people moving to those areas, they're still in the American mode, and so they need to get to Walmart, or they need to get to the grocery store. They need to get to these places, and you got to go. You got to go far, meaning you got to get in the car, you got to take an expensive Uber, there's no bus access, so on and so forth. Sometimes Uber doesn't even go out to those areas, and all these other things like that. And I'm not picking on Concao or whatever, or Cauquel or whatever, there's many areas like that, okay? But Las Americas, but it's just things that people have to consider, all right? Now, for me, again, living in the city, all right, I can literally walk to my big mall grocery store that's right by my house. Okay, or take my bicycle. All right. In fact, it's a little further, so I go on my bicycle, but I can walk if I have to. It's a 15-minute walk. It's not that big a deal. But you tell that to a typical American, that you have to walk 15 minutes to the grocery store or take the bicycle to the grocery store. Oh my gosh, that's insane. They need to get in the car and take the car all the way over there. And gas is expensive in Mexico. Insurance might be inexpensive, but gas is expensive. You still got to have regular car maintenance, no matter what. No matter what the age of the car, right? Some of you guys might be paying a car note. I don't know, but a car comes with expenses. Okay, it's not just the gasoline. All right, and that's the reality of it. And because of that, well, having a car is an added expense that anyone that's living on $1,000 a month, well, probably cannot afford. And so it's so many things when you're coming out here to Mexico, all right? When your whole idea of living in Mexico is to live out here on a budget, on around $1,000 budget, okay, give or take. Well, then there's a lot of things that you have to consider, all right? And it's things that, again, you have to pick the right neighborhood, make sure it's walkable. You might need to get a bicycle. You need to make sure you have, all the things that you need around you. This is why I always tell you guys, and I encourage you guys, when you're out here looking for a rental, looking for a home, to walk the neighborhoods. That's why I do that in some of my videos where I go to people's homes and I show the home. We do a home tour. We interview the people that moved out here, and I do a neighborhood tour so people can get an idea of what their neighborhood looks like. Some people, they want to live in a privada, aka like a private, gated community. Other people, they want to live in the city like I do, and they want to have all these things access to them at a walking distance or a bike, or whatever it is. And so it just depends on who you are, what your budget is, and so many other things. But if we're just talking about your budget being around $1,000 a month, there are many things that you do have to consider, many more things you have to consider. And in many cases, there are sacrifices you have to make. Some sacrifices are very easy to make, and they're just more of a mindset change or a change of habit, or again, just embracing a new life, a new lifestyle. For some of you guys, that's very easy. For me, it was super easy, very easy. But of course, there comes with hiccups, and there comes with some things that are not as positive as you might want. But if you embrace it and you take it on like an adventure and a new chapter in your life, then you're going to be totally fine. But that's the thing. It's those things that you have to consider when moving to Mexico. It's a lot of those things. And again, as I was saying, if you're on a budget, there are more things you have to consider. But can it be done? Oh, it can definitely be done, but it's all up to you. So please, before you consider or think about moving to Mexico, please ask yourself, why are you moving to Mexico? Is moving to Mexico right for you? Will you be able to handle it? Do you want to have a brand new adventure and experience a brand new life and basically start over? It was like hitting the reset button and starting all over again. So do you want to do that? And so on and so forth. So there are many things that you have to consider, all right? And don't just be sold on happy dreams that other people might be selling you out there as to, oh, you can come here and you'll be fine. You'll have a small budget and you don't have to change anything about your life or your lifestyle. That's not true at all. It couldn't be any further from the truth. All right. Now, again, do all of you out there in the audience need to know Spanish? No. Do all of you guys, have to make all these changes? No. Again, we, plenty of people, as you've seen in my videos, like Dave, a good friend of the show as well. He barely speaks Spanish, all right? And he gets along out here great. Our good friend Tree, he speaks pretty good Spanish, even though he might not want to admit that he does. He speaks really good Spanish, and he's able to, get out even further. He goes out into the bush. He goes out further than me. He's actually taking me and taking you. We're all going out together now. I'm on these adventures with him. All right, so it's all up to you. It's all up to what you're willing to do and change or embrace and all these other things. That's really what is going to determine whether or not you are going to be able to live out here on around $1,000 a month. It's as simple as that. Okay, so with all that being said, I know today was a very, very long rant. I know some of you guys love these and some of you guys hate them. I mean, if you're still listening, you're probably one of the ones that loves them. Well, you could also be one of the ones that hates them. Anyways, it don't matter. I'm glad that you're still here, and I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's bike ride, today's conversation, and I hope this, shed some more light as to, what it really takes, what it really is, to live out here on $1,000. For some of you guys that are looking for a more precise cost of living episode video, I got those on my channel, and I'm going to be doing a new one soon. But again, if you want the real nitty gritty as to what everything costs, up and down, I'm going to put that video at the end of this one so you can watch it as soon as we're done here. But again, it's more than just that budget. Okay, that's obviously a major part of it, but a lot of it has more to do with the mindset than anything else. All right, and with all that being said, guys, I want to give a big shout out to all of my patrons out there, all of my members on YouTube, every single one of you guys that helps contribute to the show, that helps keep this show alive, whether you hire me for a one-on-one video consultation, or you just send me $5, $10, or no bucks. You just leave a comment down below, you leave a like, you share this video with a friend, an enemy, a frenemy, whoever, whatever it is you do, you know who you are out there, and I really appreciate you, and I want to give you a big thanks, for all your help and all your, contributions, whoever you are, whether it's, been throughout the years or been, just a few weeks. Either way, thank you so much for everything you do, and especially, my keyboard warriors out there that are constantly helping all the other people by answering their questions, or expanding on other people's comments, or better yet, leaving your own personal experience, especially in a video like this, where we're talking about living in around $1,000 a month. And for anyone that's still out there listening, if you have any experience in living in Mexico on around $1,000 a month, can you share it? Can you share what it's like? Maybe some budget, whatever it is you want to share. It will be very helpful, and we do this every video. We're trying to all help each other here. Again, I'm not the only one that knows a few things about Mexico. There's a lot of you guys out there in the audience that possibly know more. So with all that being said, guys, I want to say again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and you already know the deal. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon, but more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.